Elder Scrolls Online is a gigantic game. It's got a bunch of DLC, and I would say at the start of the game it's not actually too difficult. It's more about just natural progression as you're doing quests and leveling up your character. But what I've done is I've played a few hours of the game, and I'm going to give you my ultimate beginner guide. There's not much to it because of the natural progression I feel the game gives you as you're making progress through it. But basically, out of my few hours played, I've put together a list of what I feel were the most important things that are going to help players out. So starting off, I'm going to talk about lockpicking. You get an introduction to the lockpicking, if you want to call it that, pretty close to the start of the game. And as you make progress through the game, you're going to find chests and stuff that are way harder to unlock. It's still exactly the same mechanic. But in order to make lockpicking really easy, what you've got to do is pay attention to the pins on the lock. I always start on the right hand side, and what you want to do is push the pin down until you see it wiggle a little bit. Because once it starts wiggling, you don't have much time to let go of the prompt, because the more you push it down, the more it wiggles. It's going to reset that pin. So what you need to do is keep an eye on the pin that you're pushing down, wait until it starts wiggling, let go, that's that one unlocked. Then you move over to number 2, you do exactly the same thing through all the different pins until you actually pick the lock. And I feel once you've done a couple of locks, you'll understand the mechanic completely. And then it's just about being more efficient with it, because you kind of get timers and stuff. Locks get more difficult in certain chests and things. So it's just about practicing with those pins and the right timing to get them unlocked. And next up, this is going to take you a very, very long time because there are so many. But when you are finding your very first Sky Shard, have a look around. There are so many urns that you can search. Make sure that you search every single one, probably until you get bored, because there are so many of them. But in the urns, you can find a bunch of materials, you can find necklaces, rings, and even lockpicks. So they are really, really important, especially when it comes to the lockpick. And then we have, make sure to be careful when attacking enemies, as you can also hit neutral characters, which is going to give you a bounty. The same as if you're thieving. If you're caught, you're going to have a bounty placed on you. A bounty can be cleared either by waiting for it to disappear on its own over time, or by waiting for guards to hunt you down and paying them. The cost of the bounty will depend on the severity of your crime, and if you refuse to pay the guards, they will try to kill you. Paying them is going to also remove stolen items off your character, so it's up to you how you want to play. Do you want to be a thief, go around killing all the neutral characters and stuff, and then having a massive bounty? Or do you want to just let the guards come and pay it off, or just keep roaming around playing the game and wait until it disappears over time? But next up, we have, when you are roaming around, look for things like butterflies, as you can grab them and you can take their parts for river bait. Then when you find some water, if you look for splashes and stuff, you can fish there using the bait that you've taken from butterflies and other things in the game. And you can catch some other bait, or you can catch fish, which you can then fill it to take to a cooking fire. If you are catching used bait, then you are fishing in the wrong water for that bait, and your chances of a good catch are lowered. So you can go to salt water and use river bait, but your chances of catching a good fish are going to be much lower. And the game starts you with a fishing rod or a fishing pole, so don't worry about having to find a vendor or something to sell you one. And then this is really, really important in my opinion. Your inventory space is incredibly limited in this game, and each stack of items takes up one space. So say you're going around collecting a bunch of bait. If you have 24 bait, that's only going to take up one slot. But if you have 3 different types of bait, then each one of those is going to take up a slot. So river, salt water, and then another form of bait is going to be 3 different slots. You will fill up your inventory in this game very, very quickly. So I recommend either managing it so that you only have extremely specific items, or find yourself a pack merchant as quick as you can, then purchase some backpack upgrades. Each upgrade is going to give you an additional 10 slots, but will cost more the more you buy. So 2 upgrades taking your capacity from 60 to 80 slots is going to cost you 2,400 gold as an example. To go from 60 to 70 will be 400, 70 to 80 will be 2,000, and then I think it's 5,400 to go from 80 to 90. The increase gets bigger and bigger the more you buy. And then lastly, we have, as you make progress in the game using different equipment, more skill lines are going to become available. And I highly, highly recommend using different equipment at the start of the game to open up the different skill lines, as some of them are going to be really, really helpful when you are in combat. And that is my ultimate beginner guide with the best tips I found in a few hours worth of gameplay for Elder Scrolls Online. And on that note, we are going to leave the video there. If you enjoyed it, leaving a like is appreciated. If you wish to support me further as a creator, there are links in the description. Let me know your thoughts about the video in the comments. And if you want to watch more, you can click the video on screen. All support on the channel is greatly appreciated, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.